Hey everybody, Sharon Conti here, Val Nasser behind the camera. It's our first video of 2023. We decided to do it outdoors since Mother Nature has given us a break today with some nice weather. And we've got softball going on over here and the pool going on over here, so we apologize if you hear that in addition to the wildlife in the background. But today we are going to discuss some of the Architectural Review Committee obligations and duties. And we're going to start with Ronnie and Russ. They're going to explain to us, what do we do if those plants that we have in front of our houses got bit by Mother Nature and we need to replace them? Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you. And hopefully you can help shed some light for people that have lived here a long time and people that just moved in, what we need to do to fix up our yards, because 'tis the season.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for finally putting us on.
For having us.
I think it's very important that people do have to know, or should know, that there is a guidelines that we do follow in this community, and our committee is to make sure that what's being put down, or you changing things, is that it's approved by the board.
Right. And everybody, we moved into an HOA community, whether you like it or not, you're here and you signed up for it, and sorry, those are the rules, right?
Right, and it's our obligation and it's our wish to preserve the beauty that's around us. It's one of the reasons we all moved in here. When you first drive in, it's like, oh wow, this looks terrific.
Right.
Well, we're here to help maintain that.
Okay, great. So let's get back to the question about the plants. Am I allowed to just go out and rip my plants out and put in new ones?
No.
Oh. Bad girl.
You need to fill out an application.
Okay.
It's really easy, and the more details you have, the better. We need a plant list, and that's also easy. Most of your landscapers should know what the allowable plants in Florida are. If they don't, we have an invasive species list as part of our ARC guidelines that you can find on the hub.
Okay, great.
But the question you had was, we had some freeze last week.
Yep.
And things have died. Now, if you're replacing the exact same plant that you had there, that's not, if you're allowed, if
On the
you're
allowed list,
on the
yep.
allowed
On the
list,
list.
then you're allowed to go ahead and plant. You
Okay.
do not need an application for that.
Okay, great.
It has to be the exact same plant that died.
Understood.
To not go back through the application process.
So what I'm hearing is that if I had an oyster plant in my yard, whether I put it there or the previous owner put it there, and it gets bit by the frost, I can replace it by just going down to Lowe's and getting another oyster plant,
Yes,
even though it's on the invasive plant list.
we consider that being godfathered, and you're allowed to replace it.
Okay, awesome. Well, there we have it. That clears up that question. So tell us a little bit more about the landscaping. I know people like curbing. Do you have any guidelines there?
Yes, we do. We need to know the color, we need to know the pattern you choose, because we have regulations in place. Everything needs to match.
Okay, so you just put it on an application and you guys will guide people as to
Yes,
where it
and
needs to be placed and how far
Right,
away from the neighbors, that kind
setbacks.
of thing. Okay, that's good.
And curbing has to be cement poured.
Okay.
Cannot be individual little bricks or rocks that go around a bed. It has to be a continuous pour.
Okay, that's interesting. That's good to know. Speaking of concrete, our houses have a lot of stucco and concrete on them, and we probably are going to need to paint. If you haven't already, it's coming up, I bet. So how do we get the right paint scheme?
Well, you should. I think the office has the your paint schemes from when you bought, so you should know it. But if you don't, and you want to choose a new color, or even find the name of the paint scheme that you have, it's all on the hub. There are about, I'd say, last count, there were about 75 paint schemes and packages.
Okay, so if I use the same paint scheme, do I need to come to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And it provides a record for owners that are to come, what's been on your house, what's been done to your house, so we know. And
Okay.
Clarification with
Yeah.
paint and schemes. You cannot switch schemes individually. You can go. You have to stay with the total scheme.
Okay, so if there's 4 colors in that particular scheme, I can't say I just want those 3. I have to do all 4.
You have to do all 4, and you can't pull from another scheme to put
And
into
substitute.
your,
Okay, so clarification, everybody, if you choose a paint scheme, whatever is the body of the house, whatever is the garage door, whatever is the trim, it all has to match that scheme. We can't mix and match. There's no mixing and matching allowed, or we're going to have like different color polka dotted houses in this place, and that's not what we all signed up for. So, and speaking of that, we've had some new roofs put on recently. You certainly don't want to redo your roof if it's wrong, so help us with that, guys. With the hurricanes that have come up, what are we seeing with roofing?
There have been a lot of replacements now because of the storms that have come through, and also in the case of Vista Grande, they're aging. So I think at 15 years now is you have to replace the roof, otherwise they won't insure you. That's the easiest application to fill out. The colors that we allow are driftwood and weathered wood. Most every roofer has them. They should know, and that's the easiest application. You choose your roofer, it's Temco, weathered wood, or driftwood. Submit it, and that's an easy approval. We love those.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is different roofers probably operate through the same manufacturers which have these standard colors that we're allowed to use. Okay, excellent. What else you guys got for us? Tell me more about things I might need to have done that I don't even know about yet.
Well, we also have a lot of applications for solar panels.
Okay.
Solar panels are permitted as of right, but we do need application.
Okay.
Have your installer submit all the material.
Okay.
And it's a very easy and approvable application.
Right. Another good to Ronnie's point, it's another good record to have. Anything besides solar? I know satellite dishes come up every once in a while.
We've had also we've had a couple antennas.
Yeah.
Can we put antennas on our roofs?
Okay.
And we can't prohibit them. However, we can regulate them. So we want to make sure that they do not extend any higher than the existing roofs.
Okay.
Roof line.
All right. Driveways, I know in the very beginning driveways were expandable. You get a lot of requests for driveway.
Not as many as we used to, but I'm sure that we'll still have them.
Yep.
And just to make sure that you cannot expand your driveway more than 2 feet on each side.
Okay.
And the pavers have to match
Okay.
what's already existing on the
That
property.
sounds reasonable, doesn't it? All this sounds very reasonable. We want to keep the property values up. We want people to drive into our neighborhood and say, wow, you know, the consistency is nice. My house doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. I don't need to change anything if I'm going to buy in here. It's already all kept up to date.
And we'd like people to know that those of us on ARC are very friendly. We're very helpful. If anybody has a question, they can call any one of us. We'll be glad to come out, spend time with them, help them fill out the application so that when it's time to submit it, it's all done properly and it's easily approved. The only time we get into a problem is when people don't give enough detail and they don't want to ask for help. Well, then unfortunately we have to table them for more information. So we're trying to
You have to hit
prevent that.
the veto button at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Or-
unfortunately.
We put it on hold.
Yeah, which
And
you
we
don't want to delay your project, guys.
No,
So
no.
make sure you have all the correct information. You've been seeing screenshots of the applications and what is needed documentation-wise. And if you're confused, reach out to somebody on the ARC or somebody at the front desk should be able to help you or point you in the right direction. We certainly also want to just cover one more thing, and that is that these are not the folks that send you the dreaded letter if you do not have something that is in compliance at your home. And there are people out there that don't. Might be unbeknownst to you, but I say as a resident, it is our duty, it is our job to know what is in the guidelines. If you don't, then you are going to get a letter. It's not from the ARC, and that is a completely different interview to be had, which will probably be coming at some point in time with the violations committee. So
One thing we are working on, Sharon, is that we are working on making sure that what you do get approved for is exactly what you put in.
Aha, well that's good because you guys put in a lot of hours and I can't imagine the hours of volunteerism, and only to drive by somebody's house and find out that maybe they did the project outside the guidelines.
Yes. Correct.
Oops.
Yep.
Well, we
And
certainly.
that's when you get your letter.
That's right.
But not from us.
Well, we certainly appreciate you guys, all the time you spend dedicated to keeping the community looking as good as it does and keeping our property values up. Again, everybody, when you see the ARC members, don't run away from them. Be kind, they're nice, they volunteer just like a lot of us do. And as I say in almost every video, volunteerism keeps this community going. It is the bloodline, and we thank you guys for all the time you put in behind the scenes.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
interview.
And for Val Nasser behind the camera, this is Sharon Conti, and that's a wrap.